Hi, boys, families. Happy Monday to you. I hope today went well for you. Um, Tonight's story is called Rhubarb. Do you know what rhubarb is? It's a kind of a fruity stuff that sometimes your mamas might make rhubarb jelly or rhubarb pie or something. It's kind of an interesting taste. Anyway, this is rhubarb. It's not about vegetables or fruit, it's about a little puppy. And we're going to see what happens to rhubarb. But this is the moral on the outside. To have a friend, you must be a friend. Okay? To have a friend, you must be a friend. There was a farm called Rickety Tickety in the land of serendipity, surrounded by fences of white weathered wood and wove through the meadows and fields. This farm was filled with simple animals that lived a simple life. Have you ever been to a farm, boys? They're fun. There lived on the Rickety Tickety farm all the creatures you would normally find on a farm. There were ducks and chickens and rabbits and cows, sheep and kittens, and a mother pig called a sow. They grunted, cackled, mooed, and meowed as they lived their lives as nature allowed. You see them all? That pig got a big nose pig. There also lived at Rickety Tickety a delightful fuzzy little puppy. She was cute, she was cuddly, she was all those things that make you smile when you think of words like fluffy or friendly or furry. Most of all, she was just a tiny, tail-wagging puppy who would just as soon lick you on the nose as say good morning. Her name was Rhubarb, but all of her friends called her Ruby, for she shined like a sparkling jewel. She's awfully cute, little Ruby. Ruby loved to play in and about the Rickety Tickety farm with all the creatures that lived there. The bunnies, the chickens, and the sheep all loved to play with Ruby when she wasn't asleep. The ducks that lived in the pond behind the barn loved to play with Ruby too. They would make up all sorts of silly duck games and flap their wings and chase her around and around. Ruby would chase or be chased. No one could tell which for sure, until she would fall in a panting, laughing heap, watching as a frilly feather floated by in the air, coming to rest on the tip of her nose. Those duck feathers, they were just chasing her too much. Their feathers were flying off. When she wasn't with the ducks, she could be found running about in the meadow with the sheep. Together they would run through fields of purpled clover. They would play tag, and whoever was it would chase the others until with any luck or he or she was able to lick another on the nose. Ooh, yuck. Ruby loved this and would bound about the meadow, jumping bits of clover and were bigger than she, just so she could lick some sheep upon the nose and say, "Tag, you're it." You ever played tag, boys? You ever said, "You're it"? Ruby would even play with the pigs in the pen. Pigs play in a funny way, running about in the mud, rooting their noses like plows in a furrow, looking for secrets that surely were buried there. But Ruby would join right in just the same, searching and searching, for she knew not what, until she was covered with muck. What a muddy muck. When Ruby and the pigs were finally pooped, they would flop down in a patch of sunlight and let the sun bake their muddy bodies clean. 3 little pudgy pigs and a fluffy little puppy called Ruby. Now, the problem, you see, was that all the animals that lived at Rickety Tickety Farm loved to play with Ruby. She played with the ducks, the sheep, and the pigs, and when she wasn't playing, she was resting so that she could play some more. One day, as she was resting in the shade of a blooming lilac bush, the sheep and the ducks came looking to play with Ruby at the same time. The sheep were baaing, and the ducks were quacking, and Ruby woke up to find that she was being pulled this way and that by all of her friends. To make matters worse, the pigs picked this very same time to fetch Ruby to go play in the mud. The normal peace and quiet of the farm was replaced by the squabbling sounds of the ducks quacking, the sheep baying, and the pigs oinking at the sun. "She is ours," quacked the ducks. "No, she's not. She's ours," bawled the sheep. "You are both wrong," squealed the pigs, "for Ruby belongs to us." Round and round they argued as to who was to play with Ruby and when. Ruby continued to be pulled this way and that. The ducks pulled on her nose, the sheep pulled at her toes, and the pigs yanked at her tail. Around the lilac bush they pushed and pulled their best fuzzy friend until the dust got so thick that nobody could see. All the animals finally stopped, and when the dust settled, they discovered that Ruby was gone. They ran around the bush and looked, but nowhere could they find their furry little friend. Still squabbling loudly, they raced about the barnyard looking for the gentle jewel Ruby, but nowhere could she be found. You think she got a little scared, boys? Poor little Ruby, her nose. The lilac bush became a quiet place again as the bees buzzed about the blossoms. Deep inside and high upon the bush was a little dog hanging tightly to a branch, looking very confused indeed. She didn't know what to do. She loved all her friends, but they were loving her to distraction. She was nearly scared out of her wits, and the bush as a voice called out from the branches in a slow, gentle drawl, "What you doing?" Can you see her face? She's so scared. Poor little Ruby, she's just holding on. I don't know how she got up there. Ruby spun her head and gripped the branch even tighter, and there she saw, hanging upside down from a nearby branch, what do you think, boys? A possum. "Well," she said as she scrambled up to where he hung, "my friends, the other barnyard animals, all want me to play, and they're pulling me this way and that. I climbed the lilac bush to find some peace and quiet." "Yep," said the possum, "and quiet you might have found, except your friends are back." Sure enough, the barnyard critters had heard Ruby in the bush and had come racing from all points of the farm. Can you see the possum there? Poor little Ruby. The ducks, the pigs, and the sheep all raced around the tree, calling for Ruby to come down and play. "She is ours," quacked the ducks. "No, she's not. She's ours," bawled the sheep. "You are both wrong," squealed the pigs, "for Ruby belongs to us." They argued and argued as to who was to play with Ruby and when. "Ahem, ahem," interrupted the possum. "What are you speaking of?" The farm animals were miffed at the interruption, but answered, "Why, Ruby, of course, she is our friend." "Ah," said the possum, "but a friend doesn't belong to anyone. Friendship is not something you own. Friendship is something you share. To have a friend, you must be a friend. There is no other way." So from that day forward, the animals that lived at Rickety Tickety Farm shared their friendship and Ruby withal. She would play with the ducks, the sheep, and the pigs, and when she was tired, she would share a cup of tea with the possum in a tree. So the moral, boys, a friend cannot be owned. That is plain to see. Friendships must be shared, just like our friend Ruby. And there she is with all the animals. They're peaceful. So boys, as you go to sleep tonight, think about your friends and thank God for your friends, and think about how you share your friends. It's not about getting jealous or wanting someone to be just your friend. Friends are shared by other friends. So embrace all of your friends, hold them close in your prayers tonight, and thank God for them. I love you. Talk to you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.